And I was like, oh,
Which
never
which
mind that.
camera is that?
The Black Magic, the
Okay, we're
4K.
recording now as of probably 4 or 5 seconds ago.
Okay, don't say anything super bad.
Yeah, don't say
I'll
anything that
keep
would
it
get
short.
Twitter mad. Twitter, if you don't want to upset Twitter, you don't want to be seen trending on Twitter. That horrifies me to this day.
I've never been on Twitter.
Good. Oh my
I've
god.
never once been
So
like
half of it is pornography, half of it is angry people. That's the truth.
I have enough of that in my own life. I just like
Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah.
I've seen tweets, but I mean I've probably been on there a little bit, but I've never actually like gotten Twitter on my phone and been on. I just never have. I don't even have I don't have notifications on for Instagram.
Uh
Uh, Someone else I have kind of manages my Instagram for me a bit.
yeah, I've done that with Snapchat. Like no more Snapchat notifications.
Yeah, and then it's like I don't have notifications on for most things, and
Even for
still I'm
people, like there's certain people I'm just like, nope. No thanks. I don't need you
I've thought
notifying.
about muting certain people in my life and being like, if I'm bored, I'll get back to this one.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll see
just
what's going on, but
just like is everyone needed? I'm always asking that. Like
it's this it's like, is this person help like necessary or like
or like
helping?
like what if I just like walked to like Alaska like by myself
Oh, don't get me started.
like
As
what would
much as I love
happen? Who would like
Yeah, as much as I love the city, like a little bit of me, like every day or so, it's just like God, I want to. I have friends who are like moving out to Colorado and on a middle of nowhere
someone
areas.
sees like Peter McKinnon and is like I want to move to Canada. Like
Yeah,
I
and it's
want
like even
to take pictures of
who
the
are
mountains.
doing that, like who are like going to Canada and Colorado and all, and like Travis, you should come. I'm like, I'm like, yeah, but then I've just switched from these people's expectations on me to your expectations on me,
Well, you
and I'm
gotta
like,
grind though. You gotta save up your money. Like I don't know how much money you have, but
yeah,
like, dude, you're like at that phase of your life where you're just like content, 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 and I can't hate on that. And I don't think people
mhm.
should hate on that. You know?
That's literally like what I was doing before this. Is I'm almost done with like a YouTube video,
Oh, for real.
and then
What's next in store for us on Travis Sherwood
this
YouTube?
is something I really don't even like it that much, but it's just something to kind of put out, and it's just it's just me. I shot at a park with this old vintage film camera, and it's
Oh,
basically just me shooting with that. But then also just a lot, and then also I had the cameraman kind of ask me questions. So it's just kind of like a
oh,
little
you didn't you put that on your
chill.
IGTV? Probably. I think I just might have seen that, or was that something
Yeah,
else?
yeah, no, you probably see me like talk like tease it a little bit maybe,
Was it just
but
like a little self interview type thing?
oh, that's a different thing. But yeah, I'm trying to do more interview stuff
With
regarding myself and people.
okay,
But yeah,
you gotta do me, but I mean I don't know how that work because like it's I assume you'd probably prefer like going to someone's like little base and like with the fucking film camera. What?
I don't know. I want to get into interview stuff. It's just like I feel like that's what everyone does to an extent. I always just like I don't know. I want to do it like if I'm gonna do it, I want to do it in like a really interesting like way. And it's like I want to like figure. Excuse me, my phone.
Damn, bro.
Um, yeah. Sorry, I have a bit. I'm actually I'm doing a gig in like the next like hour ish.
Oh, where, what, and where? Well, not what.
Um.
You don't have to tell me the address, but like, what's the event?
Yeah. It's like 40. No. It's up at Times Square actually,
Mm.
near that area. So it's like yeah, like right at. So it's like yeah, like right after this, like at like 5ish. I'm literally just gonna like throw on pants and then grab all my gear and then run out to do that. It's in Times Square, which is gonna be interesting because we have a snowstorm outside right now. So like it's gonna be
Dude.
really wild what's gonna happen there. But it's Times Square. It's at this little venue and it's like a proposal shoot.
I think there's
Some
two
guy.
places I wish I would like to like live in the time period during it is like New York in 2013 with Casey Neistat living there, right?
Oh, that,
Like imagine being
interesting.
friends with Casey Neistat in 2013 in New York City.
Like
Imagine.
when it's first growing, yeah.
Yeah, or and then it would be LA where when the No Jumper craze is happening and all the SoundCloud rappers moved out there. Like imagine just like walking down the street and seeing like Lil Peep riding a bicycle and then you see like Lil Pump, like at a concert down the street. Like I'm not saying that's it's like it's there's 7 million people there, but I'm pretty sure like there's certain eras of time. Like, is there like an era of time in a certain place that you wish you went to?
Um, I feel like any time in New York you're catching something interesting. Like any era of New York you go to, you're gonna see some really like. I would I feel like I'd love to go to New York in the '60s, just to see
Mm,
just like how, especially because how different it is now with how much more sanitized. I'd love to go to New York in the '60s where it was just like unfiltered, unwashed, and you have the Beat generation. You have Bob Dylan, Jack Kerouac, Ginsberg. You have all these people really
like
just
Llewellyn Davis, the movie. I
yes,
love that
yeah,
movie. Oh my god.
I think that era and just like the protests of that. Like I feel like that New York would be really kind of
Like The Village.
yeah. I feel like there's so many people there, but I feel like, I guess there are still a lot of people I don't know. I mean, for all I know, this like me in New York right now is like is going to be looked back at in the same way.
Yeah,
People are
that
gonna be
is true.
like post COVID New York became this. Now I have no idea. I don't think it will.
I mean, I'm
But
optimistic though because I just saw this post on someone's Instagram. It was like after the plague came the
yeah, you
fucking
might be
Renaissance
interested.
or what?
Exactly, and it's like well, it's like you have like the whole Dada art movement, which was like all these European artists after World War I, being like, how do we like taking art in this super surreal pattern and being because like and going really existential and gross because of the horrors of war affected them. It's like you're gonna. I was like, so it's like yeah, maybe that's what we get after this. I mean, I feel like people have said that not only in like the sense of art and media, but people are like hoping that like after COVID, since we were all locked up and stuck online, that once COVID's fully done, we'll be all be outside appreciating life more and more in contact and everything.
In touch.
I, I don't know if that's gonna happen.
There's gonna
I
be
think
a
it's
lot of malice.
really wishful thinking,
There's gonna be a lot of
but
malice.
yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people were already kind of living the quarantine lifestyle to an extent.
Dude, people
Like
don't want it to change. That's what's scary. Is they're like, this is gonna how it's gonna be for 3 more years.
no,
Like,
yeah,
but
I
they
yeah.
don't say it optimistically, but in their head, they're like, it'll happen. It'll last as long as it needs to last. It's like
I mean,
I'm scared.
I
Like,
I
yeah.
would not be against another quarantine. Like, or no, that's all I should say. I should say another quarantine would not emotionally bother me. I guess would be it. Like
Well, because we're
quarantine was
used to it. But imagine your
yeah,
nephew. You imagine your nephew in 2055. He's not used to that.
yeah. I don't know. Like quarantine itself, though, I actually had a really good time.
Oh
You
man, it was
know,
beautiful. I loved it. I don't care. It was like I got
I
so productive. Like I interviewed you. Like you were like one of my first interviews. Like
yeah, it
I
was
was that
even
was
earlier on. Even like earlier quarantine for me, because like Florida, like back in like March, April, like early quarantine, I loved it because how my mind is, where I have to constantly be doing something. Quarantine like allowed me to kind of like slow down. Like,
do you respect your time in Florida? Like are you fine with it? Like did you love it
um,
or are you just like you're good that you're out of there or did you like respect that time but you were like it's got to go. It's time to go.
I think like I, I think my entire time there, I was disliking it, and was like, I can't wait to leave. Um,
Really?
for a very long time, every time people were like, "When you come back," I always said, I always said I never plan on ever crossing that border ever again. Um,
Damn.
and to an extent, I mean, I guess I feel that way, but honestly, I don't really care. Um, I probably will end up having to go back. I found out. I was talking with a friend of mine, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna be flying to these locations a lot, and one of them is like Miami." And he's like, "You have to be going to Miami," and I'm like, "I'm okay."
It's for a
I'm like,
gig.
"Yeah, for work and business and meetings and stuff like that." And I was like, "I don't want to." And he's like, "I was like, can't we send someone else?" He's like, "Travis, no." And I was like, "Can't we just take somebody else there?"
Damn.
And he's like, no, Travis, you're the resident photographer of this. You kind of have to be here for it. And I was like, but like at the same, and like the thing is, it's fine because like I mean, one of the biggest things I learned from moving from Florida to here is that you can't you can't run away from your problems through geography. Like, just because I got 1,000 miles away from the things that started it, the only way I was gonna end it was here.
You
So it
can
was like,
digitally by blocking someone.
yeah, that too. But it's like I got here and it's like nothing changed emotionally, and like I was a fucking shit show mess. And it's like oh no, it's still it's just about how you handle it here. No, of course the move helped to an extent, but
Yeah,
also it
like
brought
getting something doesn't like make it so like it's like great, or getting
yeah
somewhere like I just like I'm trying to like lose weight and I just got a treadmill, and I'm on the treadmill every day, and then I get like a fucking blister and I can't go run on the treadmill anymore because like my feet are all fucked up, and like that's disgusting. I'm sorry people had to hear
like
that, but uh yeah, there's always something that comes up is what I mean.
yeah. I mean, there's always well, it's like I mean, just how idealistic I was then to be like, oh, you know, like yeah, I got away from Florida, so I was away from the stresses of my parents and that social sphere. But now I was in New York, and now I had the stresses of money and work and having no social sphere. So it's just like you're taking a new batch of obstacles wherever
Did
you
you handle
go.
the obstacles well?
Yeah, uh, yeah. I mean,
But what was the challenge when you first got there, though? That's what I want to hear.
oh, oh Jesus, there were so many. Money, and that's still an issue. Things have not like money's always been difficult. It's slowly getting better, and I have new plans and stuff to kind of rework it. And I'm finally breaking more into the film industry as I feel like learning that pays better. And also like I'm kind of dumb doing these weddings. I mean, the weddings can pay really well, but especially right now with COVID, they're not these bigger ceremonies. So it's like you can't make 2 grand off a wedding right now. You're not having those
Yeah.
type of events. So it's right. So it's like photography being so new into the industry that I am with that, and with COVID, it's like I'm not making enough. So I'm trying to get more into the film industry. So I'm now I'm gonna be the cinematographer for about like a couple uh, feature films in the next couple months,
You
hopefully.
got that
And I'm like,
lined up?
yeah, I have those lined up, and I'm like, oh, this is already. And the one I'm working on is really small, very low
You
budget.
gotta like,
It's already paying better.
dude. Oh my! I want to interview like the director of it or something. Like I've been starting to interview like directors. I interviewed this director Dan Eden, this director Chris Von Hoffman, my bro Hyder. Chris Von Hoffman, he's done movies with like Lance Reddick and like some that John Wick guy. He did this one movie called Monster Party. I don't know if you heard of it. It's like
I think I know Monster Party. I
so it's
can't.
like this serial killer. They're having like a serial killers anonymous meeting, where like they're trying to talk about how they're not serial killers anymore, and they're like a bunch of rich people, and these like really poor teenagers pose as like caterers in this big mansion, and then they're like gonna try and rob this like rich wealthy family and stuff, and then they're like, oh, these people are trying to rob us. Now we have like an excuse to kill people again, and it's like it's crazy and
Mhm.
it's shit. And
That
he's
sounds
made a
pretty
couple
cool.
features, and it was a cool interview. I'm just saying, like how has it been working with those directors, and how did you get in contact with them?
Um, a lot of word of mouth. A lot of Craigslist was one of them. Weirdly enough, I think I check Craigslist every night for new stuff, and a lot of it I don't get, or a lot of it I don't really want to get, but I check that every night for something. You know what I mean? And that's led to certain things. I mean, I'm so disconnected from everything, and you know, part of that is general life, but the part that I can really see is me to blame, and I'm like really just wanting to get more into it, but at the same time, I've realized I'm like I don't know, like I've been making social connections with certain productions, and I'm like I'm not as into it as I thought I'd be, or I'm not into these people's vision or these people's ethic, and I'm like, oh, I should just be working on my own thing. And that's why, like, in my Instagram bio, I finally was like, I change every fucking week to a dumb joke, but but this week I was like, I decided I just put I will have a film in festivals by 2021, and it's like that is 100% a fact that I'm going to achieve is I will have something in festivals, because I'm like I'm tired of sitting here like being a bystander. I mean, even though I haven't even been in the city a year, I'm like I could be doing more, and it's like right now it's like I'm getting that YouTube video up. I'm working on some other photography videos. 2 or 3 of those, and that's like I'm shooting other stuff with clients. I'm gonna be the DP for that thing. I'm helping run a fashion campaign. It's like I'm just like I want to get shit moving as quick as possible, and it's like it's just from one thing to the other, and it's like I want to finish up this project and just really try and branch out as much as I can, but also it's like I just want to independently run things how I kind of want to, and it's like also I want to be my own person in the industry, and it's like I don't want to like sit like as a production assistant for 4 years of my life and then
You want to
like
like have somebody, you want to hire an assistant yourself, or not
yeah
have one, or just be
I
your
do
own
have an
thing,
assistant actually,
or just kind
but
of just
yeah.
you just kind of like want to make things more like independently and stuff. And I
I'm
get
just
that.
yeah well it's just like because like I'm not in school, so it's like I can't network with those people as much. It's also like, I mean, I went to New York expecting, being like, oh, I'm gonna meet all these people who are into film and photography. I'm able to work with them so well. And the thing is, I got here and a lot of us share the same interest, but a lot of us don't share the same drive.
Ah,
That's where it switched on me,
there you go.
where I was like, oh, a lot of these people that, I was like, oh, they want to be filmmakers too, but they're going about this in such a different way.
Okay.
And that's fine. That's absolutely cool. But I'm just like, this isn't gonna work for me. And I'm like, this type, and that's something I have to deal with where I'm like, oh, my mindset is not exactly like other people's, nor should everyone have the same mindset, especially they should not have mine. But it's just like, oh, I have a very different outlook on things that other people do, and it's like I want to get my stuff done, and I want to achieve things quickly in this way, and I view things this certain way, and it's like a bit of me just like I need to quit. I'm not interested in like the slowness that everyone else is taking, because that's something I noticed when I got to New York. When you think New York, you're thinking busy, busy, work, 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 and it's still people. There's people where it's just like it's taking so long to get set up schedules and shoot days, and maybe I'm available, and I'm like, no, I'm not
Well, I
gonna work
mean, you
with.
can accredit that sort of drive to like the way you do your photography, like probably because like you're so I don't know. I assume this, and I've kind of heard you talk about it. Is like you take like you'll just take like a million pictures and you'll just go one location, random location. Like you don't care what the location is and when it's happening. You care what the fuck you're shooting in that moment. Would you kind
Yeah,
of like attribute that sort of photography mentality to the way you're starting to plan things in different areas of your art interests?
I just I just don't feel like I just I mean the median age for a director making their first film is like 30ish. Like
That's
that's a
scary.
true that's a truth that like you like most of them are I mean you have your Damien Chazelles, your Paul Thomas Andersons who are doing their films in their early 20s, but for the most part they're most guys are in their 30s when they're making their first feature film, and I'm like that's ridiculous, especially in this day and age where you can buy the gear and you can post it online. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, that almost makes sense because yeah, you're having to go to a studio, you have to go to meetings. I'm like, right now, you can make a film with a group of people and then send that shit to Sundance.
It's
Right
really
now,
easy to get gear to do
so easy.
anything, like, or try and get it yourself into anything. Like, within the last, since September, I've gotten myself FL Studio and I've gotten involved in learning music production. All you need is a couple fucking YouTube tutorials. I mean, the tutorials and the gear aren't going to get you connections. You have to be a person. You can't be a
Exactly.
robot. You have to, like, learn how to meet people and get people that you know are interested. Like, you can't buy getting people that are interested in the same thing that you're interested. You can't buy that, but you can buy how to learn something or a craft, but people don't want to hear that.
yeah, it's just like, it's just like I see, there's just a lot of people, I deal with where I'm like, oh, you're going to college for like 3 years, but you're not doing anything really. So
Yeah.
which I get it. You want your degree and you want to be comfortable, but I'm like, we have all, I mean, we're in the 21st century. Technology, whether we like it or not, is everywhere, and I'm just like, I don't understand this idea of going about uh modern day filmmaking and modern day art and media this with past solutions. Like, like back in the day, if you want to get your film made, you had to work on sets and network
Yeah.
and then ask for funding.
You know, Spielberg,
You know,
he was actually snuck onto an Alfred Hitchcock production and got kicked off because he was like underage or something.
yeah, yeah,
But like
exactly.
now you don't
It's
have like imagine like I'd love to sneak on a Safdie brothers movie and like I bet they're all coked up and running through the streets and like with their little deal with a little small camera with like people like I love that style like that gorilla ass running gun.
well, exactly. It's like, it's just the idea of people like still acting like the film industry and the media industry is the way it is, you know, 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. Just doesn't make sense to me. Again, this isn't like the 80s where it's like, yeah, you have to be on a film set for a couple of years and, build up that and then maybe shoot a commercial or two
I mean
and
that's
then
what the
maybe,
'90s taught us though.
you know, but it's like now you can get a DSLR and go out there and shoot something and it can be award winning.
Yeah, I'm saying though that's what the '90s taught us though, like the whole '90s independent cinema craze. They taught us that you can just fucking save up your money, do that shit
Yeah, of
yourself.
course.
Hopefully someone picks it up. But like even now though, it's even better in a sense that people sort of are more educated or have seen more bigger examples how to get eyes,
Hmm.
like through social media or like shit. But like I was talking with this guy who did this one movie in intervention. It was like some like mockumentary type movie, and it was real. It was like real improvised. There's some theater guys up in Illinois. It's real smart. So he was like, "Oh, there's like this website where you can submit your film to it, or it's like indie projects or some shit. I forget. I'll have to go
Hmm.
look it up. And it's like you submit the movie, and it will distribute it to Amazon Prime for you. It just has to be accepted, reviewed. If the distributor likes it, and there's like a certain cut, you can get like there's more opportunities than the '90s. Because in the '90s, you had to have Weinstein like it.
Yeah, yeah, you still had to, yeah, exactly. You still do appeal to executives. You still do appeal to companies. It's like now you can just make something and put it on Vimeo, and it's there,
Yeah,
and
and
then
I was learning why Vimeo is like loved and adored. It's like camera quality or something like upload
yeah.
rendering and
I
shit.
mean, yeah, Vimeo has better, yeah, better, a lot of better creation tools I feel than YouTube, and then also, yeah, compression quality. It's much easier to put stuff on Vimeo. It's but Vimeo doesn't have the audience appeal of YouTube, obviously. You know, Vimeo is what filmmakers will use. You know what
Yeah,
I
for
mean?
demo
But
reels.
yeah, demo reels, yeah, music videos and stuff like that. If you're sharing stuff like, like between people in like for like like a high grade company, then Vimeo, stuff like that, Vimeo comes in handy. But it's just like, but I going Vimeo viral is not really a thing unless you get on like short of the week with on Vimeo's website.
Or like,
But other than that,
yeah.
you're not getting what YouTube can do.
Or
That's just
Omleto features you.
yeah,
I
exactly.
love
On YouTube,
Omleto.
I enjoy Omeletto for what they are.
And
Yeah,
Alter.
but yeah, and then I know there's a new one called Argo.
I'm
That's
looking it up, bro.
Yeah, that's for short films that you can submit to and stuff like that, and you can stream them as well. I have yet to go fully in depth on them, but yeah, exactly. You can put anything out on Amazon now. You know what I mean? And also same thing with like film festivals, where
Argo, right? Oh yeah,
yeah,
digital film festivals, dude.
yeah, but it's like it's like before you'd have to you'd have to get your roll of film developed, and then you have to make copies of it, then you have to mail it out to these festivals, and it's like now I can just take my MP4 file and then put it on filmfreeway.com and then pick and choose what I want, and then bam. And I mean, and literally with Film Freeway, you know, it has certain places that you know, you can literally send it to place to festivals that are verified by the Oscars. You know what I mean? Like you can do that from your computer. You can send something to that festival, and you know, and you can get you know, in the Oscars that way. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
dude, I've
Like,
actually started to check out some of the Oscar nominated short films from like last year. I think I remember I was checking it out. And like I never thought I'd care about them, and nobody seems to care about them, but I actually checked them out, and the animated ones were really good. I forget what it was called
yeah,
though.
they normally are. Yeah, there's a lot of things with the Oscars where it's like, yeah, the documentary category I always feel like is a little bit
Short
maybe unloved.
documentary.
Yeah, those are always really good. You know, but I mean, everyone always you know, pays attention to Best Picture, Best Actor, for those things. You know, and then you have uh Best Editing, Best
Did
Script,
you know
Best.
Taika Waititi got nominated for, or actually won a short film Oscar back in like 2004, 2005. He like
Hmm, I
and
didn't.
the funny part is, so he was in the audience for it, right? And he was like falling asleep, and then when they announced his name, he like woke up and like walked over to get accept his. He's so funny, bro. Taika Waititi.
Yeah, the Oscars or something where yeah, there
I feel like I'd do that.
yeah,
Would you do that? Like fall asleep?
I don't think I'd fall asleep, but I feel like I'd if I were invited to the Oscars, um, I'd be invited and then I would say some very not nice or good things and then I would never be asked to return, I feel. I have a
Yeah.
feeling that's how I would go about it is I'd say something very off base for television and the Oscars and then I would never be seen again.
I feel like
But
I feel like I'd probably do what Joe Pesci did, and I'd say like some horrible like a speech or something, or and
mhm,
I'll be like, what he said. Joe Pesci said, "It's my pleasure, thank you," and that was his speech,
yeah,
and he
it's
walked off the stage. Like, why does it? Everybody goes up there and they thank like 30 people. Like, imagine the people who think that they should be thanked and aren't thanked. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean with the Oscars it's like it's just like and they play you off so quickly.
What do you
You
mean?
know what I mean? Like a lot of people get up there and you know it's and then they'll start their speech and instantly the music starts playing and that's their cue to go. You know what I mean? They get played off so easily. They'd be like, "Hey, move on." And it's like, "Well, you're not giving, you know, you're not giving them any time to breathe or
I think
anything
that's how
like
it is for
that."
main like huge award shows. Like even like for even music award shows, let's go into that. Like Drake accepted an award, and he was like, I think he accepted a Billboard award or something, and he was like, this doesn't matter. If anybody listens to your music while they're doing their normal day job, this doesn't matter. You could be unsigned and go on SoundCloud. This doesn't matter. Anybody here who's ever has a music on anywhere that anybody has streamed or is even trying to make music, that matters. This award doesn't. And then the TV cut off and went to commercial. Like that
Mhm.
literally happened. Like he didn't even curse. Like usually they do that when someone curses. Like,
Mhm.
bro, it's so like shady. Like I don't know. I'm scared of like the Academy. You know. I wonder who they
Uh,
are.
the majority of them, yeah. I mean, it's just, it's exactly, it's like it doesn't, yeah. What a group of people think doesn't matter. What other people think of your stuff doesn't matter.
I think
Um,
anybody watching matters. I think like if
and then
anybody
people,
watches or comments like even though they're toxic a lot of the time, they do go a long way. Like if someone just says, "Hey, you've been pulling through with the nice content." Like a lot of time, like this kid from my school, like he'll just comment like, "Another great interview, Mike." That's so simple, and it's like that's what matters to me. Like I
oh
can
yeah,
give a fuck. I
there's
can give a
certain
fuck if
things that
someone.
people have said about stuff I've made that have
Yeah,
like from a year, like years ago, that have stuck with me.
yeah.
Like when I'm just I'm like, oh, that's, you know, I mean, that's something I talk about with this YouTube video I made is like the point, and like, and I'm like, as long as I'm like, if it helps me, that's pretty cool. If it helps other people, that's awesome, and that's about all I give a shit about. But it's like, you know, it's like, yeah, award shows don't matter, and then it's like other people's opinion of your stuff shouldn't really matter, you know, and then, you know, I mean, the whole thing is like what most people say is it just matters what you think of it, that what your opinion on what you make is what matters. Which I'd even go as so far as to say that doesn't actually matter. In a way, nothing really matters. It's just
Yeah.
like you making your thing.
Yeah, like
But that
what I've been thinking about though is like what also matters is like talking with people that you collaborate with or work with or learn something with, like off camera or off what you're doing. Like I've been like I'm in this music group and I'm just like learning production and stuff, and this guy will teach me some cool FL Studio trick. But like, I'm always calling him like weekly and stuff, and I'm like, how's rehab? How is this? You know, or just like small little checkups, they go a long way. And like my bro
yeah
Lee, he just got coronavirus, so I'm talking with him every day and making sure he's okay. Like, but like maybe we're not putting out as much music as we really used to be or should be, but I'm still like, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
I mean, doing business with people, recently it's just like, your business. I'm business friendly with people, where I'm like, yeah, this is cool. And there's a lot of people I see who have the money and the connections to where I'm like, oh, if I worked with this person, things could be done like exponentially faster. And I'm like, or if I'm like, if I kept this person in the loop, this concept or this thing I want could happen faster and better, per se, and but it means like, I don't want, you only get one shot. It's like, I'm not gonna make this with somebody who I'm just like business friendly with, and who at the end of the day it's like, even though like we get along, if at the end of the day it's like, oh, we made a lot of money, this is cool, I don't know if I really want to work with them long term. Like, I want to work with people where they're my friends, and at the end we can go, we finally did this, and have an actual connection instead of just like a business. Like, yeah, we all got paid. The end. Let's
Like you
go.
want to like at the end, you want to be like, we made it. Like we
Yeah,
got it. We pulled through. Yeah.
yeah. It's like I don't want to. Yeah, it's like certain people. Yeah, it's like it doesn't matter what money you have or your abilities. If I don't feel like you're on board with the dream, the vision, or whatever the hell, whatever that achievement is, then I don't think I want to actually work with you long term. And it's like, that's not a slight on them. That's just not. That's just, we don't see eye to eye, and I don't want this thing to function without that ability, kind of thing. I guess.
Yeah, like I'll like show someone a screenplay I write. Like I'm not gonna show you it, but like I write a lot. But like I'll show them like I can't show someone else a screenplay besides my friend Drew. Like this is not how I roll. Like he will be like he'll see my screenplay and he'll blatantly tell me right to my face, Mike, nobody fucking talks like that. Rewrite it, like, or say something completely helpful. Like you won't be like, this is ass. Like he'll be like, he'll give me the small little nitpicks like grammatical errors. Like, do you have someone that like is like a sort of peer that like just edits and helps you out with small little things, or are you mainly just a lone gunman?
I'd love to have someone like that. I don't really have one of those people in my life. A lot of my friends, where it's like, no, I don't have someone in my life where I'm like, do you think this is a good photo? No, I'll ask my friends, because I do love people's opinions. I love starting a conversation. I love showing people what I've made. But if someone like went up to me and goes, I don't like it, it's very rare that I will take that into opinion, or not take that into opinion, but we'll follow through. I don't know. I try and really. I feel like I'm the harshest critic on myself, and that the people in my life for the most part won't be as harsh as me. So it's like,
Yes.
well, a lot of people are like, yeah, this is good. I'm like, for me, I'm like, no. And again, when we go back to it, who does it matter to? If we go by the whole, logistic of the only person's whose opinion of it matters is your own, then I don't care if 1,000 people go, I love this short film, and that it looks perfect. If I see one shot that's off and it bothers me, then it's ruined. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, it's like, yeah, I don't care. But I mean, but also I love collaborating with people. I mean, I literally shot a video, a fashion video with somebody yesterday, and
Wow, how was that?
oh, it was so good. And
Did
I
they make
can't
the
wait.
clothing, or like were they like the designer of everything?
I styled it. I styled it. They were just the model. I
Oh, you were
styled
just
it.
like, oh,
Yeah. it's like I had an idea of what the outfit was gonna be, and I kind of picked out. I was like, okay, these sneakers with this, this thing, and it came to the portion where I was like, I have a bunch of ties, and I was like, well, should we put a tie on this? But does it work? And I was like, maybe this bow tie, and it looked good, but the model was like, I'm not really into it. And I looked at it and I went, I could go with or without it. You know what I mean? But like his opinion was just enough for me to go, nah, you're right, and then not. And the thing is, some people would go, well, Travis, you changed your opinion based on one person's thing. But the thing is, I feel like the things that are crucial, I guess I would say, the things that when other people's opinions clash with your own of that thing, when they conflict, and you still don't want to like budge, those are the things the things that you're worth fighting for, I guess.
Well, yeah, yeah, not everything's worth fighting for creatively. Like, if you write a screenplay and someone like wants to take out an entire scene and like this scene's too unnecessary, this scene has too much information. Like,
if it's not good enough, or if I'm able, if I'm like mid, like if I'm considering it, if I'm like maybe on it, then obviously it's not that good.
so it's
You know what I mean?
mainly if you're like already skeptical when someone tells you it,
Yeah.
that's when you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, if someone's opinion created doubt, then that means that something's off with that idea. That's not a me problem, and that's not a them problem. That's, oh, if you just making an offhand comment about this thing is making me insecure and doubt it, then that thing isn't good enough then, obviously. Or at least that thing is not as important to the overarching as this. But then I mean I've talked to actors, where they'll be like, I don't like this ending. You know what I mean? And I'll have to, through my teeth go, I'm sorry, but this is how it should end.
Ooh.
And it's like, obviously, that's something where I'm like, oh, that's worth fighting for. Now, and then I have the same thing with actors where they're like, can I actually do this? Or can I try it like this? And I'm like, yeah, of course. And even though it's not what's on the page, maybe it works better. You know what I mean? Or if if the actor's like, I want to do this. And they do it, and I'm like, yeah. Obviously, that choice it didn't mean a lot to me. But like something like the ending where I was like, no, I understand you want your character to live, but I know that they shouldn't. That's something where it's like, I would have budged on that no matter how.
Is that a reference to one of your short films that you made?
It's not. Well, it's one I almost made though. It was something I almost made, and the ending was always kind of up in the air, and the ending was originally going to be involved with like the character kind of like walking off into life, kind of like whatever. And that was a good ending for what that short film was going to be about. It was very much about the feeling of nothingness and, pointlessness. So I was like, oh yeah, he could just walk off to nowhere and it'd be kind of sad and whatever. But I was like, no, I'd rather him die to an overdose. And
yeah,
the actors were all, especially the actor who was going to die was like, I don't think that's really depressing.
Did the production not pull through because of this?
No, not because of it. It's just it was just time constraints. It would have happened, I was keeping the whole ending really to myself, anyways, with that because it was to a certain song, and it's like I was
What
like
song?
I didn't want.
Oh man.
I'll send it to you. It was I'd have to find it. It was a because the whole thing had a very like surfer vibe to it, and like a retro vibe, and I wanted him to literally overdose on drugs in a bathroom to like a surf rock song. You know what I mean? And it was like this thing of like,
oh gosh, dude.
I was like, yeah, I don't want
Dude,
this to feel special.
produce this. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I want to hear this. I want to see this happen.
I was like, I don't want this to feel special for this character. I don't want this character to be redeemed. I don't want it to feel like a big tragedy. I just want it to be, he died because he didn't change his life, and in a way that's more realistic than anything. People.
Yes.
Like people don't like fail in life necessarily because
like the end of Uncut Gems is realistic. Like,
yeah,
he gets killed because he would have kept on fucking gambling. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's like, it's like it's like a lot of people in life, and it's definitely a fear I have, where it's like a lot of people who fail in life or have tragedy happen or something negative happen in life. It's not normally they zigged when they should have zagged. It's normally a lot of minute little details or in this case, in my script, passivity that led to this downfall, where it was like, where a bit of me was like, no, 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 I don't want him all. He's been passive this entire time. I'm not gonna let him continue to be passive and it just be sad. I was like, I really want to hammer it home for people how being passive can just really ruin you. You know what I mean? And I think especially in that script where it was like, this really nonchalant, I'll just do these drugs scene, for it to be, for that passive action to then go so south. It was like, no, that's what life's like. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, it's like, especially, since you have such an understanding of like the music industry, how many artists, how many artists have died of overdoses? And it's not like, and it's not like it's been this big thing. Like,
Oh my
it's not
god,
like
dude.
it's not like they took it for like it's not like they took this hit and it was like this big ceremonial thing. It was just like every other night. You know what I mean?
It's just like going to sleep. That's what Lil Peep was like. He go to sleep, and 2 hours later, someone finds him, and he says that they all. And even 2 hours later, they still think he's asleep, and then they find out that his lips are blue. It's just this slow, insignificant end, similar to a.
I mean, Mac Miller's a great example of that. Who's one of my favorite artists. But it's like, it's like how many times was he doing stuff over and over, and nothing, and every time it was fine, and then that final time it wasn't. I mean, that's the thing with drugs and overdoses is, you don't realize it until something bad happens, but you're like, oh, every hit I was incredibly lucky. You know what I mean? Like every hit I was incredibly lucky that was not fentanyl and I wasn't dead. You know what I mean? And it's like for that, it's like, for that script, it was like, I wanted the passivity to be the issue. And I love negative arcs personally. I love when someone doesn't do something bad and or good, but just something happens to them, because that's like real life.
Or nothing really ends up happening.
There's no rhyme or reason.
There's no giant ending where everything is like beautiful and like, oh my god, like.
Well, it's like, I mean, with the common screenwriting convention is like the character has to learn something. You know what I mean? He does something, it doesn't work out. He still keeps trying to. He tries to hold on to it. He tries to hold on to the old world. It still doesn't work out. He lets go. Everything's fine in the end. And it's like, that happens with people where they have an issue with letting go of something and then they do and it fixes their life. I mean, I've had that with trauma and different things like that. But sometimes in life, you're just unlucky. Sometimes you change and you're still unlucky. You know what I mean? And it's like life it's not an arc. It's up and down. You know what I mean? And it's like,
it just could be down the whole way.
That can be some, especially, and that depends on perspective. But yeah, exactly. You can have bad stuff, still happening. It's like, I feel like a lot of my scripts, when it comes to morality of characters, there's never once been this idea of the bad guys have to get away or have to get their comeuppance and the good guy has to be happy at the end, because that is not how life is in the slightest, and everyone's on equal footing. No one is a protagonist in real life, so why should they be in a film necessarily? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
well,
I like real like. That's a horrible. I like movies that are painfully realistic, like Once Upon a Time in America, by Sergio Leone, the best Robert De Niro movie. Have you seen this? The 4-hour European cut.
Yes. Yes, I have.
So the opioid den, like, it's just like, my theory is that he was just kind of like remembering everything in the opioid den and thinking of what a possible future is. And that the opioid den, he's like, I mean, what else? What the fuck else am I gonna do? Like, it's just like, that's life. Let's move on. That's really what the whole end of the movie is. It's like, my friends, they're all either dead or they don't want a part of me, and I lived a horrible life. That's that. Move on. Like, that's what his character is. Like, what the fuck else? There's no, I mean, yes, there is certain tragedies in it that make that ending so good. like the whole like she wants to be a talented art actress and stuff. She wants to go. That is like whoa, like her character, the love interest of De Niro. That's probably my second favorite character in the movie.
What's like what's like I loved, it's like, I mean that's what I loved about The Irishman. Was it taking the coolness of Goodfellas
And Casino,
and
yeah, just like
and being like, yeah, this is what happens at the end. You know what I mean? Which
yeah,
like which it like I loved that because that shot of De Niro just alone in the in the fucking nursing home, and it's like in the end it's like what does he have? You know what I mean? Where it's like
yeah.
nothing, and it's like even and it's like and just how and just people talking to him being like, we don't care what you have to say. It's like
The
like
FBI
it's
agents, yeah.
yeah, the FBI agents are like, we don't care. It's over. You know what I mean? It's like you're even it's like this character who was involved in one of the biggest political shifts in America and crime organizations and
Unions, yeah.
countless murders, and and he's now in the modern day, and the government, the enemy that that he's fought against this entire film, they're like, yeah, we don't care anymore. We've moved on. What you did doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, he sacrificed himself for all this, and all of his friends are now gone, and and it's like he sacrificed his family life, and they don't want anything to do with him anymore. And I think that's such a fascinating, truth of like, yeah, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know what I mean? And it's like it's about like what you put your life into. You know what I mean? And it's like,
What
I mean,
opportunities should you not or should create for yourself? But I love like what I love about Casino though is the intense attitude. But at the end, he's like, "All right, I'm just in LA. I'm just gonna keep fucking betting on football games. That's what I'm into now." But
yeah,
but then he still thinks about how like the wife moments and the glamour and the TV show he
yeah.
had. But I do feel like Irishman's like a real more melancholy version of the two.
I feel like Goodfellas, Casino, Irishman. I feel like if you watch all those like in succession, you slowly like get, you know what I mean? Because Goodfellas has negative to it, but Goodfellas still ends with like the whole, I lived happily ever after in witness protection, and there's like Casino's like, I'm okay, but I'm
Dude,
missing.
I would have killed. I would have killed to go to an alternate universe where The Godfather 3 had Winona Ryder in it, because she was originally cast as one of the daughters in it. I would have killed to see that because she's a amazing actress, Winona Ryder, and she Stranger Things, but also a lot of shit in the end. But while I am not a fan of Sofia Coppola's performance in Godfather 3. She doesn't care because she was like, I don't want to be an actress anyways. I want to be a director. And then she makes The Virgin Suicides and Lost in Translation. Have you seen Lost in Translation?
I like Lost in Translation.
I just watched it last night, bro.
It's
oh
really
my
good.
god, yeah.
Have you seen Her by Spike Jonze?
The Joaquin Phoenix one.
Yes. Have you seen that one?
No. I will.
It's a great movie, but I thought what's really interesting about that movie, this is like common knowledge, but it's directed by Spike Jonze. Lost in Translation is directed by Sofia Coppola, and they're made decades apart. But they were married back in the 90s.
Spike Jonze and
Sofia Coppola.
So you're saying that Her is kind of like the male perspective of
it? Yeah, and Lost in Translation is hers. So it's really interesting to watch those two films, and of course those movies themselves have very different plots, and neither movie is actually a documentation of their relationship, but obviously their relationship is what prompted.
What's the age gap between them?
Probably a decade or more. Probably 15 years, because Lost in Translation is like what, 1999?
We're on to something, bro.
And then
it's all about them.
Her is like 2013, 2014. So
no, I'm talking about like the Sofia Coppola and Spike Jonze.
Oh, I have no idea.
I'm googling that because maybe what if like Spike Jonze is like an older man?
No, I think they're about the same age. But it's really interesting seeing those two artists, you know, speak about their relationship in these different ways. So it's like
Oh, they're
lost
about
in
the same age, right? Whatever.
yeah. It's like Lost in Translation is like Sofia Coppola dealing with her with that divorce, and then you get her, you know, is Spike Jones dealing with that divorce, you know, which there's a scene in her, you know, I mean, everyone talks about, you know, Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson, that because that movie's about that relationship growing. There's a scene in her. I want to rewatch it honestly. There's a scene in that movie where Joaquin Phoenix's character sees his ex-wife for about 5 or 10 minutes at like a cafe, and the way it's edited and the interaction is so painful and so realistic, and now knowing that Spike Jones is so much basing that off of his relationship, you can just feel how real it is, where it's just how they're talking, how the pain that's there, and I don't know, it's really fascinating.
What
But
movies do you look up to when it comes to editing besides this movie?
Brick by Ryan Johnson. Um, I don't know. I love editing, and
Have you
editing can
seen
be
City of
so.
God,
No, I don't believe
the
so.
Brazilian film?
Oh, I yes,
Gangster
I have.
Kids in Rio.
Yes, I've seen City of God.
Yeah, dude, the editing in that, like the montages, the little documentary style camera work, the narration, and the all the aerial shots of the city with the film, to show sections controlled by certain crime
Yeah,
bosses.
editing gets me the
That's my. I mean,
most.
that's been my favorite film of all time since 2018, 2019. I keep a record because ever since I saw that movie, it's been my favorite movie of all time, and it's never changed, and it won't.
I don't know. Mind you, I don't know. I
I
want
hate
to
that
change.
question though, but
Yeah, so do I. I have a list actually, because I'm just like, because I always forget. Because every time anyone asks me one, I always forget one of them on the list in my head. So I'm like, I'm gonna write down
yeah,
what you know.
I have a
Come,
lit. I on Instagram. It was like if anybody asks me what my favorite movie is, just go on my Instagram. But I don't expect anybody to really do that. But I
yeah,
had like a lot of movies on there. I had Joe Dirt. I had like Napoleon Dynamite. I had like Pirates of the Caribbean 2. I know they're all like not like critically great
one
movies, but I don't care. Like,
of my all-time favorite movies is Evil Dead, the first one. First one's my favorite.
man, that's
First,
like, you know what I want to see. What I wish is I was there when it was made, because it was apparently horrible shooting. Like it was like
oh, I know all the trivia about.
frozen.
I know all the trivia about it, and that's why I love it, because I actually knew all the trivia going into it, and then watching the movie and being like, oh, the way they broke this window was they had a piece of wood in front of the camera and they just ran at the window, and you're like, oh, that's a real gun going off in that scene. And you're like, oh, this is, and like,
And
oh, they
imagine
actually,
the guy doing the stop motion, and everybody's like, "It's fucking cold. Can we go?" like,
yeah,
like, I do know stop. I know
yeah.
do know the struggles of stop motion because that's but the first thing I ever did on YouTube was when I was 7, and I did stop motion animation videos a while ago. It's like 2011, 2012. I made them in 2011, but they didn't get published until around 2012. But stop. Have you ever experimented with that?
And again, I'd love to do claymation with
Oh,
that.
it's so much fun.
I'd have to write something that I was like, yeah, I should actually look into it more. I don't know. I'm working on so many different things, and again, I'm making something for me this year, and it's just like, what's that? What is that gonna be? Who knows? How long is it gonna be? You know, the thing in my bio is I did not say short film. I did not say feature film.
Ah,
I have no idea which one it's gonna be yet.
could be documentary.
I don't know. I would say it's not gonna be, but you know, who can predict things? But
Yeah. Like,
um,
what I do want to see is that one that you didn't get able to, that film that you weren't able to finish, dude. Yeah, I'd kill to go alternate universe to see that. The way you were describing it earlier.
yeah, that was a whole series, and it's like looking back, I'm like, man, the knowledge I have now, the gear I have now, I was like, the budget I could do, I was like, the things I was like, I would love to, you know. But I mean, I always joke with my friends when we were making that, you know, it's like this is the blueprint for when it becomes an HBO series. You know what I mean? So it's like, who
Well,
knows?
maybe you're saving it.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? Maybe I'll, you know, maybe it'll. I've always kind of joked it'll be like kind of like a Twin Peaks thing, where like 20 years later, I'm like, I gotta go back. I gotta, you know, there's more to tell, and I think that's, you
Yeah,
know, when I feel like there's more to tell, there will be. I think with that
dude.
script, as much as I loved it, I think I need to age 10 years.
Speaking of, oh, Man, I'm waiting to hear that, and I might even produce it. Maybe if I'm able to, if I'm, if I'm able to. But
I think I need to be older though. I think I need to be older and see
yeah.
what else I think I can come up with. I think I could write that script any day of the week.
Speaking of
like
David
that.
Lynch, though,
Yeah.
so I was listening to a podcast, and this one guy was explaining, talking about like depressed people and like how he hates people that hate their life and hate the world, and he's like, he was like, life is like so meaningful that you can watch a David Lynch movie and at the end of it be like, what the fuck did that even mean? Or some shit. And he's like, that's why I love life, or some bullshit. And I was like, I don't know if I agree with that. Like, that's the meaning for life, but like, just shit like that. Like, I love to hear that shit.
The fun of life is that there's always something going on. You can always put something on there. But maybe it's more the fun. That's living, I guess. I don't know. I would love to continue this further, but I do have to. I have to run in the snow and go shoot that. But I would genuinely love for us to schedule something as soon as possible again to do this.
That was another episode. Links to his content, Instagram, social media, blah, 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 blah. He's got to go. Bye.